basically evaluate companies for efficiency,
Yeah.
which is cool. But
Oh, here he is.
Oh my gosh.
What's up, fellas?
What's up,
What up,
Arch?
kid?
Just living the dream, man.
I love it.
You look, you look so corporate
You
lawyer
do
right
look
now.
so sharp.
Yeah, company happy hour.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were talking over like Q3 and just like stuff we're gonna try and accomplish.
Stuff
yeah.
you're trying to accomplish while you're not there.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, 100%. Like
so
they were talking about like just high tech stuff, very
yeah.
technical.
Well, yeah. Q3 is closing. That's good that that's good that you guys are getting out ahead of that.
Absolutely, know that.
but
I'm probably gonna get fired on Friday, so it's me and you
you're
both,
gonna
dude.
get fired.
Chuck,
Maybe. But
Chuck,
yeah.
Pate State just posted. I have
Yeah,
Instagram posts.
I saw
They're
that, Arch.
they're they're hiring interns for the season. Hey, too, got to be in Nashville.
If I get
Would be you if
fired,
you
I
get
know.
fired.
If I get fired, that is I'm knocking on his door.
If you
But
get fired, you should just tell him that you quit to pursue this, and
yeah, he'll be like, "Holy
just
shit!"
like
And you
talk
have
about
your
like the grind.
yeah, and you have your own podcast, dude.
They're definitely their like application process is probably like one of those like record a video on why you would be a good fit, like one of those type of
Just send them the whole catalog.
Yeah, I'd be like, what about the 42 podcasts I've done?
here's my
Yeah.
You would
portfolio,
have to go
Josh.
there
And the
and edit.
program website I made
You would
for
have
it.
to
Yeah,
go there and edit each time I or somebody else slandered his name.
yeah, and then they see
Yeah, go edit all the episodes.
they go
He's
through
probably
my
been mentioned in every episode, so
yeah.
Like keyword Josh Pate on the like transcriptions and
Ooh, and then just be Archer shitting on him, and then
Control F Pate.
I know one of them is the Boise State USF Week 1, where I said he doesn't cover college football, like all of it. I literally remember that exactly.
Uh, I mean, also the Dan Mullen Las Vegas strip.
yeah, we talk about that almost every podcast.
How he doesn't cover Army Navy.
Yeah, Army Navy. That
Yeah.
if I worked for Pate State, that would be thing number one is we're taking the tour to the Army Navy. I don't know how much
Well,
pull I
100%.
have in the company, but
If the company's at Army Navy, I'm chirping Josh Payton his bald ass head in person.
yeah. Well, damn, I might actually have to, even if I keep the job, I might actually have to show up on his doorstep on like when I get back to Nashville and just put my foot in the door. All right, sweet. So we'll do buy, sell, hold first. Um,
$3,000 paid internship.
ooh, the
30,
big bucks.
30,000?
Three
Three.
Oh, three. I was about to
unpaid.
say for just the
Might
fall, that's insane.
might as well be unpaid.
Send resumes via email to freightspatestate@gmail.com.
So it's an internship where like is it full time? Because like or is it a college kid that's like working for them in the
It's
fall?
definitely some
Probably
like
that.
college kids.
Probably
See,
gonna be like a Vanderbilt student
if
that
I
just
like pitched
gets some
myself,
coffee.
I'd be like, listen, I don't really want the internship. I just want a full-time gig.
Yeah.
It's probably like a producer internship. Like they're probably just gonna sit there and like
Hmm. Well,
have like chat or Claude pulled up and just rip stats the whole podcast. So
yeah.
like assistant producer is probably what like the role would be. Kind of like what
Uh,
I did at the fan.
yeah. All right, so buy, sell, hold. Let's I need to get these win I need to get these win you might as well pull these win totals up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 42nd edition of the Forward Pass podcast. We've got Caleb driving home from work. We got Luke in Kennesaw, Georgia. I'm in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma for this one. Sam's in Austin, Texas. The gang's back together. We're doing ACC tiers, or not ACC tiers, but the ACC preview of the entire conference. We're going to start off a little bit different. It's going to be inverse than last episode if you've been tracking. We've got a couple guys that Sam, he's got an important job interview on Thursday. So we want to be, mindful of his time. What we're going to do is we're going to do the buy, sell, hold segment right this instant.
A lot of pressure.
If anybody was checking our Instagram, our editor went crazy this this morning at his corporate job, and instead of the pro bono case he was supposed to be working on, he absolutely destroyed the Big 12 buy, sell, hold edit. So shout out our editor, shout out our producer. What'd you guys think of that edit?
Thought it was majestic.
Yeah. The stock ticker at the bottom, I'm not even sure how that gets there, but it got there.
Magic.
Yeah.
I have I got us an ethical order for this buy, sell, hold.
Ooh, ethical order. Let's see it,
Yeah.
Jessica.
I just went onto ChatGPT and said, give me these names 1 to 4 in random order.
Okay.
And then I used our names. So the order is Charlie, Luke, Caleb, Sam. I can run it again if you guys want, but
no, I'm cool with
what
that.
it spit out.
I'm cool with
It
that.
works.
Okay. Art, did you have something to say, or was that
I was gonna say, yeah, the editor, he just always makes it happen, he told me so.
I think we should also add a disclaimer that Arch is driving very safely right now.
Yeah. Mhm.
Obviously.
Eyes on the road.
Couple of NA beers at the
Eyes on the road and the prize at the same time.
Yeah, at the corporate cocktail hour.
Yeah, I would say that not NA. Kona Big Wave, baby. Respect.
Yeah.
That's basically water, so he's
Yeah.
good to drive.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Well, I guess I'll kick us off on the buy, sell, hold. So basically, do they hit their over on the win total? That's you win the buy. This hold, you get to make a decision after week 5 on the win total, and then sell, you are going under on the win total. That is how we're doing this, fellas. So I get the first overall pick. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take Louisville, which win totals at 7.5.
Good value. With the second selection, I'm gonna pick a team that I believe a lot in, and we'll talk about them later. I'm gonna pick SMU at 8.5. Pony up.
Pony up.
Am I 3?
Yeah, Caleb's 3.
For my buy, I'm gonna be buying the NC State Wolfpack.
Ooh, I like that. NC State is sitting at 7.5 as well.
Wolfpack.
And I'll round it out with a shocking selection of the Pitt Panthers.
I like that. 7.5.
For those watching live, I'm breaking the Carolina streak to wear my brand new and not discounted Pitt long sleeve shirt.
Can you tell them which one of your fucking awesome friends got you that, or
Our founder and host Charlie Mill got this for me as a birthday gift.
I can't take too much credit. I also got myself one. So
shout out twin. You should have packed it in your bag to Texas.
I know. I didn't even think of that.
It's only 105. You could have walked around Dallas with it on.
What's Pittsburgh? Oh, you're an Eagles fan? No, Pittsburgh's not.
People here they're like, oh, so you're from Philadelphia?
It's
like, no,
unbelievable, Sam. Oh,
we're closer to Michigan than we are Philadelphia.
Oh, you're an
Eagles. She told him about the Steagles.
Yeah. You must be you must have been talking about the 1933 Steagles. No, I understand where you're getting that confused. Yeah, unbelievable. The ball knowledge of Pittsburgh geography, it's negative. Nobody knows where Pittsburgh is in the greater America, which, whatever. We're going to change that, Sam. Also, shout out our producer, Caleb, for showing us the Fanatics sale that was happening. So I got these for both $14 each. Thanks, producer. All right, Arch, you're up again. Oh, no, Sam's up. He's going to be starting us off with the holds. Or are we going sell first?
Hold.
All right, we'll go hold. All right, Sam. Give us
I'm going to hold and reevaluate Virginia Tech.
Damn it. I like that pick, Sam.
Sharp.
We got a trend with our holds. New coaching means we hold.
Who did he hold?
Virginia Tech.
He went VT, so you're up.
I'm going to be holding the Louisville Cardinals.
Ooh, okay.
Nice. I'm stuck in between two, but I'm going to put faith or somewhat faith, since we're holding, we're not buying. I'm going to put somewhat faith into the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and hold them at 6.5.
Okay. I'm going to hold Boston College at 3.5. I just feel like they get to 4 or 5. So I'm going BC. I'm going with BC. I like my guy Mason McKenzie from Saginaw Valley State. And Arch gave us the lock of the century with them beating Michigan State early in the year in the Bandana Bowl. So now we're going with sell. And my sell is going to be Virginia at 7.5.
You bastard. Stole my cell. Damn it. Okay, well, I didn't have a backup plan. I didn't expect you to do that. So if you bear with me, I'm going to sell. Damn it. This feels like a very monumental decision I'm making.
This could be the difference.
I think this is kind of a cop out, but I genuinely the path to 6.5 wins is not looking great. So I'm gonna sell Florida State.
I eyed them up. I took a peek. Caleb?
I'm going to be selling the SMU Mustangs.
Ooh.
That's a true stock exchange. One guy buys the stock, somebody else on the other side selling. We love that.
Big mistake.
Sam?
Quick clarification. Are we judging Miami on the 10.5 win total?
Yeah, regular season.
I'll be selling them at 10.5. I think they're gonna lose one game outside of Notre Dame somewhere. They always do.
I don't hate that at all. I think that was pretty sharp from the fellas. I think all of our angles were at least the right logic.
Can't wait to debate SMU with Arch later.
Yeah, this is going to be a spicy debate. So, Arch, are you going to hop off and come back on after you're done driving, or are you staying on?
Yeah, I'm gonna hop off. A cop is pulled behind me, or he's like not behind me, but he's on the other way. So yeah, I'll be back on soon.
Kid
He's
is
not pulling me over, but it's a little unsafe.
Kid is tweaking.
Georgia is a hands-free state, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I'm in South Carolina though. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. Peace, Arch.
All right, see you later. I'll be back on.
Let's hope that cop doesn't start getting those lights going. All right, sweet. Now we're getting into the part of the podcast, fellas, where we just rip ACC takes. So do you guys want to start?
Should we go Pitt so Sam can get his Pitt takes off?
Of course we should go Pitt. Sam, the stage is yours.
You lead off.
Oh, I need to lead off?
Yeah, just lead it really quick. I've just got to pull up their schedule
Awesome.
super fast.
Listen, basically, this is my take on Pitt. Mason Heichel is coming back for year 2, and we have positive momentum going into the quarterback position, which is nice to have since we haven't had a lot of positive momentum going that way for a little bit of time. The thing that Pitt is always hanged its hat on is the D-line play. We return Jimmy Scott, Isaiah Neal, and Sean Fitzsimmons in the trenches of the D-line. So that's going to be right back to standard. Although Des Reed was our most electric playmaker last year, he left for the NFL, which is going to hurt. Backup Boosie Turner, Reed was hurt a lot all last year, and Turner was electric. So I think it's going to be pretty good. I think it's going to be the offensive backfield with Turner and Heinschel is very spooky in the ACC. I think it's one of the best. Now the Pitt schedule is pretty tough, and I think a great litmus test is Alonzo Barnett III in UCF. I think that's at Camping World. Am I right, Sam? Or is it at Pitt?
The UCF game?
Yeah.
It's at Pitt.
Okay, so it's home, that kind of helps the Panthers get on. They should win. This is a game that if you get to 8 wins, you win this game. But Pitt has a propensity to lose early season matchups to teams that end up not being good, i.e. West Virginia last year. So it's going to be now. They didn't have. Holstein was starting. Eli Holstein was starting in that game. They're going to have a little bit of juice with Mason Heinschel. They close out the year going Louisville and Berkeley, and I think when they go Louisville, Berkeley to close out the year, that is the best. That's like the biggest 2-game stretch they have. Like they play Miami, you're not expecting them to win that game, but you have to beat Berkeley. I looked at the schedule of Pitt and was saying, that is the consequential game of, do we get to 8 wins? Do we hit our over? Is beating Berkeley. The only thing that kind of makes me nervous about Pitt is they're going to be very reliant on receiver Malik Knight, who's a Western Carolina transfer. Our offensive coordinator is a Western Carolina guy, and so he's bringing Malik Knight in and he was really good at Western Carolina. But other than that, we lost a lot of weapons. We lost Kenny Johnson to Texas Tech. So at receiver, I'm a little bit nervous, but in terms of D-line play and quarterback play, and then Narduzzi, he's been a coach for a while. I'm not a huge Deuce Cruz guy. Sometimes I hop on the cruise, sometimes I just let it ride. Sam, I'm interested to see what your kind of take is, because for me, I could just see this being a very Pitt year where they lose games they shouldn't, and they pick up a couple huge wins that are very surprising, like Louisville at the end of the year. What say you?
Yeah, I think to start off, Pitt, like historically, like you said, is known to kind of steal a game or two later in the season in those November, like the Miami game or the Clemson game that they've won in years past.
Mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, the last 2 years has kind of been the opposite. If you don't remember back in 2024, they were 7-0 before they sadly got boat raced by SMU. And then even last year, they were 7-2 with College Game Day rolling into town with Notre Dame coming in. And so oddly enough, they've actually started out really well the last 2 years. And come that latter half of October and into November, they've sputtered. 24, they lost 5 straight, and then I believe lost to like Toledo or something in the whatever Michigan Bowl.
Oh,
And then last year finished 8-5.
lost to Eastern Carolina.
with a pretty poor bowl loss as well. So in the way that their schedule shapes up this year, like you said, Charlie, they're going to go to Miami, and then they got to go play Florida State, who you don't really know what they're going to look like in November. They're going to play at Louisville, which is going to be a tough game, which for a team like Louisville could be battling for ACC championship contention. And then they got to go and play a weird game at Cal, which you never know with timing and body clock and all of that.
And JK.
So I think the number one thing with Pitt this year is going to be, where are they after that Georgia Tech game, right? Like you look at the schedule and you can say to yourself, there's a really good really high chance, high probability that, we're favored in all of but one, the Miami game or at Virginia Tech, probably going to be favored in every game until the bye week. So it's can you go 5-2 or can you end up going 6-1 in that stretch and put yourself back into ACC championship contention?
If you're playing the win-loss game on the schedule, it's like 6-2 after a loss at Miami is like, that looks very realistic. And then you got to go get 2 more wins out of the Tech, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Louisville, Cal. I think you're right.
But I also think too, like people are very quick to forget that this Pitt team was an Eli Holstein interception in the red zone away from putting Louisville away, and which would have given them the ACC championship game appearance. So this team obviously had a lot more talent last year, and we lost some big guys on both sides of the ball. But Pitt has had success with returning quarterbacks. Look at, most recently Kenny Pickett and how successful that team was. I think you could also kind of make an argument that him and Mason play a similar style of college football. And, like you said, you're not the biggest dues guy. I would agree, but I'm also a pretty big Cade Bell guy, and how he has been able to make a lot work with a guy like Eli Holstein, who was clearly limited last year in 2024 until his concussion. And then last year, having Mason Heischel have all of that success. So how much of development is Mason going to get between the end of last year and this summer, and having year 2 under his belt? Are we going to see, him really excel into that next tier and turn himself into an NFL prospect? Or are we going to see him kind of take a turn like guys like Klubnik or Lenora Sellers did last year with a lot of hype and, didn't live up to it necessarily? So I think Pitt actually has a pretty unique opportunity here with a relatively workable schedule to make some noise and get to that 9-3 or 10-2 mark and compete to play in Charlotte here at the end of the season.
And one thing about Cade Bell that you mentioned, like you trust him, I do too. The one thing Cade Bell does that it's a simple philosophy, but it works really well, is he plays his best guys. So I always thought our Des Reed, Boosie Turner set were both of them. They both played running back, but they both were 2 of our most explosive athletes. And we were in 2-back sets all the time. we always played them on the field together. And a lot of the times in college and NFL football, you see coaches be pretty strict in like the personnel they want to use. They want to run what they like to run. I think Cade Bell always does a good job putting his players in positions to succeed because he's never working with the most dynamic deep threat receiver. He's never working with like you're not getting like elite NFL prospects coming out of Pitt, but you're getting guys that do certain things well, and he always plays well to their strengths. So I actually think this is the first time since Kenny he's had a legitimate NFL quarterback. Like obviously Kenny hasn't been a world beater in the NFL, but he's gonna last in the league for 10 years. Yeah,
Super Bowl champ.
True. But I think this is the most elite in terms of NFL quarterback talent he's had since Kenny. So, or I guess he wasn't even he didn't even coach Kenny, but at Pitt.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, you got it. You got it, Sam.
I was saying really quick, my last thing is you alluded to this earlier, Charlie, and we kind of teased this on our Big 12 preview and how pivotal that UCF game in week 2 is going to be. Because like you mentioned last year, they lost to West Virginia, and like there is a clear trend of Pitt losing some weird games early in the season. You go back to, like you said, last year, West Virginia, year before, obviously went 7-0 to start, so that didn't happen. But in Kenny's last year, they lost to Western Michigan at home. Then the year that Phil started, they got just smoked by Cincinnati in our own barn. So we've had history of losing a type of game like UCF, which in the grand scheme of what Pitt is going to do, they're not going to, there is very little chance that they're going to get an at-large bid into the college football playoff. So in the grand scheme of Pitt's overall season goals, this UCF game doesn't necessarily matter for them to make the ACC championship because it's not a league play game. But I would love to see this Pitt team come out. And also week 1 against Miami, you're looking at one of the favorites in the MAC who is going to be hungry for, a statement win against a relatively beatable power conference team in their eyes. So you're going to get a hungry Miami team and you're going to get a healthy UCF team in week 2. If you can weather that storm and get going, like I really like their chances to be 4-0 going into Virginia Tech. And also they're one of the biggest mysteries in college football. So if they can get through that first week 2 game against UCF and, show a lot of signs of improvement from end of last season to now, I'm really high on Pitt and excited for a possible return to Charlotte with a pretty open ACC again.
I think that was good, Sam. A funny story about the Pitt Cincinnati game. That was when my sister took her official visit to Pitt. And before the game, like my sister's telling all of her friends that she just met, like, oh my God, the quarterback went to my high school, like Phil, like he was so good. He was like the best quarterback in our high school's history, which he was. Phil was awesome in high school. Like, oh the Molly Rottinghouse used to date him. And then like by like the second half,
a generational stinker of a performance.
Nobody was claiming him anymore. It was so bad.
That was the booze.
Yeah,
and then that was when he was like, please do not boo us. Yeah. And then they went to Dub V, and Dub V just booed him the whole time. We got spanked.
Yeah, that was bad. The tough
quiz for the crowd. There was an Elon football player. The last time Pitt played in the ACC championship, there was an Elon football player other than Charlie Miller in attendance. Who was that player? That's Tedusca, because Charlie does.
I know. It was Jeff Yerk.
And second question, part B, what team uniform was he wearing that was not either that were playing in the game?
I believe it was the Michigan Wolverines, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Yerk.
Yes, they actually I think they were playing that day, but it just was not necessarily.
Classic wrong game dickhead moment right there. In the Michigan Big Blue.
Yeah, in the Michigan Blue. Yeah. I remember that was the game we had me, Esai, and Sam all in the same building in Charlotte, North Carolina.
One of the more random ACC championship matchups as well.
What up?
One of the more random ACC championship matchups. Sam
Hartman, Kenny Pickett, fake slide. Saw the greatest moment in Pitt football history with my own eyes. The stadium was at half capacity, maybe, and
no, it was a good crowd. Dude, stadium's always
more Pitt or more Wake fans?
Because way more Pitt.
Because Wake,
Pitt,
despite it being their home state, Wake doesn't really have a lot of actual fans.
Well, also, that's a pretty doable drive. It's like 6 hours from Pittsburgh, and it was a night game, so people get up and drive.
Like 8.
I would say you could make an argument that although it was one of the more random, if not the most random ACC championship game in like the history of ever, it is one of the more iconic ACC championship games because of the fake slide.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Like you talk ACC championship to people and you bring up, oh yeah, I remember the fake slide, or oh no, I don't remember Clemson beating Pitt by 100,
Yeah, I remember.
or
James Conner Pitt.
or the Florida State Louisville 12-9, whatever that game was.
Yeah, that was terrible. The Clemson SMU game that me and Dusko were at, that was
50-yard field goal to
that
win.
was a storied game.
That was pretty electric. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it ruined our next year's takes of Clemson because we believed in what we had saw in person.
We'll talk about that later, I'm sure.
Okay. Actually, we might just talk about it right this instant. It's actually such a perfect segment. So, fellas, first off, what do you think Clemson's odds are at for the ACC championship?
Tell me what Miami's is as the favorite.
Miami's is 145 minus 145.
Also, what
They're
rank?
plus 145.
No, minus 145.
They're
What
minus
rank are they out of all the
145 to
teams?
win the ACC championship.
Yeah,
game.
Clemson is ranked 4th, but yeah,
Plus
Miami,
600.
I'd say plus
Plus-
600, plus 7.
750 is my final answer.
plus 1,400.
Ooh,
And it's the first
Ouch.
time. How long has it been since Clemson was out in the plus 1,000s for the ACC championship? Tell me the year.
2011.
2011 is the correct answer. First try. Ball knowledge. So it's been 15 years since a Dabo Swinney Clemson team has been ranked, plus 1,000 or greater odds to win the ACC. It's unbelievable. Louisville and SMU are at plus 750 both. So Vegas has almost no faith in Clemson. Sam, what are you smirking for?
Do you guys want to play we'll just run through their schedule? I think that's absurd. Like, I'm looking at their schedule right now.
Okay, we'll play this.
Like-
I love playing the schedule game.
At LSU, like that, not relevant loss. Doesn't matter for ACC. Georgia
Okay.
Southern win, doesn't matter. Now UNC win. At Cal, probably win.
Yeah, probably.
Miami at home. I think there is a strong world that this is like a 3.5, 4 to
Ooh,
like a less than a
see?
touchdown spread.
You think?
My prediction is Miami at Clemson, another bold take, will be a under 1 touchdown spread.
Yeah, like here's what I think about this is what Vegas is telling me, and I think we have to agree. Like we have to
The
condition
spread's probably out for that game.
we have to condition our minds to say, like, obviously when you see Clemson at Cal, you just chalk up a win. But like they were 7-6 last year. Like that is not the state of the Clemson program. Like they have not earned that. Like when they play Virginia Tech, that's not like easy win. Like they're gonna roll. I don't know. They go at Florida State. Like again, they go at Florida State. Like what is that a game? That's like a 4-point spread. So
Spreads out for Miami, Clemson. What do you think it is?
6.5.
Miami 4.5.
-7, so touchdown.
Boom, cool. See, like that's my point. Like Clemson, Vegas is not
It's a
falling.
fat spread.
Vegas is not falling for the Clemson trick again, and I don't know if it's a trick or not. I'm hopeful for Clemson. I hope they.
But like their second half of the schedule, they play Charleston Southern, doesn't matter. Virginia Tech, Florida State, Syracuse, Georgia Tech, Duke. That's their last 5 ACC games.
Yeah, I just think Georgia Tech, Florida State, Virginia Tech, and Cal are the 4 games that Vegas is saying we're not giving you those. We're not just giving you those. You got to earn that. I'm sure.
I
Like
just don't see Jimmy Franklin walking into Memorial
now,
and beating
I think
Clemson.
they're hedge. I think Clemson is hedging. I think Vegas is hedging for the Clemson LSU game. If Clemson wins that game, the odds market is going to drastically flip. And so I think like they're going to put these odds where they are right now because there's probably people are not going to be tempted. People aren't going around buying Clemson stock like it's Tesla, right? But if they beat Clemson, if they beat LSU and Dabo's like, and maybe the train's back on the tracks, this could flip. they probably jump Louisville and SMU immediately. Now, let's talk actual football though, because we want to get into the players that like they're coming back. Tom Allen, year 2 as a defensive coordinator, they were one of the worst pass defenses in the country. Do you know what helps pass defense though? Edge rushers.
Pass rush.
A pass rush is going to be huge. They have 2 really good edge rushers and Welt, or is it Height? I forget. Number 15, Purdue transfer. And then Jaheim Lawson. So they have 2 good edge rushers that should at least help the back end. Ronan Hannafin is back at safety. He was that white boy number 5. Good player. I also like what they have at receiver, TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco Jr. I thought last year was a little bit underwhelming. I don't know how much of that was schemed. They couldn't run the ball very effectively. Their quarterback play was better than average, but not much better than average. So Arch is pretty high on Chris Vizina, but
Former 5-star.
huh?
He's a former 5-star.
Yeah, like I guess the season kind of hedges on is Vizina
So
the
is
truth?
Jackson Arnold.
True.
Sorry, unfair. Go ahead, keep going.
No, that was really all I had to say. I was just setting up somebody for a Clemson take.
I think that, so here's how I see it. I think season could either go 2 ways. One, well, I think it all hinges on this particular game too. I think all likelihood they go 4-2 in their opening 6 games. You could say Cal might be a hinge game, but I think it might take a little bit to get Cal ramped up this year, despite how good their quarterback play might be. I think when they play Virginia Tech in week 7 on October 24th, it's at Clemson. If they win that game, then there's a lot of potential for them to be able to put themselves in a prime position to go to Charlotte. If they lose that, then that's basically where your ACC schedule, picking up your second loss at that point, that's where you're going to fall off the rails. And you're not going to be a realistic contender at that point with 2 losses just based off how things went last year. And I think it all hinges on that game. There's a lot of speculation that has to go into Virginia Tech as well. We don't know how good they're going to be either with them having a first-year head coach, but I think they're going to be pretty competent, and we'll talk about this later, they have a pretty nice ramp up to that game as well. And they're going to be able to get some momentum going the right way. And we're going to have a pretty good idea of how talented they are based on how they play their opponents prior to Clemson. So I think that's a huge hinge game for the entire conference outlook. I don't see Virginia Tech necessarily as a conference championship contender, but Clemson certainly is one. So I think a lot's going to hinge on that game in particular. And then if you have the confidence of winning a big game, being 5-2, going to Florida State, I think that you carry some of that momentum, and they're going to be tough to beat later in the season. And then they also have the benefit of they don't finish with a conference game; they finish with USC. So I think a lot hinges on that, and their season's basically going to go teeter-totter based off the outcome of that game in my eyes.
That's a lot riding on the Jimmy Franklin entrance in Death Valley.
I think just Clemson, just my naive, idealistic way of looking at college football, I feel like they're entitled to a good season just because of all the ridiculousness they dealt with this offseason. And Dabo finally built up the courage to dip his toes in the portal, and we all saw what happened with the situation there. So
Luke Farrelly.
Yeah, Luke Farrelly did them dirty, low key, high key, but
Coward.
In a naive and idealistic viewpoint of the sport, I think Clemson, I hope that they're able to have some success this year just based on that. But like I said, it's going to hinge on that Virginia Tech game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think like really quick on Clemson, like you mentioned, Resco and Moore coming back. I think there's like obviously they got a bag, right? But I think you can go as far as to say they probably would have gotten a bag at a lot of other places. So I think that there is reason to believe that there's something there, and you trust those guys to make a good decision on the quarterback. And I think that, they're coming back for a reason and they trust Viznia. I think that this Clemson team this year could be very similar to the Clemson of 2024, where you watch them and you're like, oh, they're good. And they make it to the ACC championship game and they're 9-3, and you're like, oh, they're all right. They're ranked like 15 because they win the games they're supposed to. They lose. They're three. They lose to Miami. They lose to LSU, and they lose to South Carolina. And you're watching them, and you're like, this team's all right. Like they're good, and they're in Charlotte, and they're in the fourth quarter of the game, and they get a couple bounces, and Miami crumbles as usual. And here's Clemson in the playoff, and you're like, what? And I can see this happening with this team this year.
And they
Like
they give Texas a good game, and it's competitive, and they're a little more competitive than you would have thought. Is that where that was finished? That take was finished?
yeah, I just think that like you're going to be watching a game in November and be like, oh, they're good, even though like they're never like talked about as this great playoff contender. They're just winning the games they're supposed to. They're never really on ESPN because they're playing, Florida State on ESPN2 at noon because Florida State's 1-5, and then they play South Carolina, they'll lose, everyone will watch that game. And you're like, well, they're not that good, but they'll find a way. And I trust Clemson, and although there's a big rivalry there, I respect them and hope for the sake of the rivalry we don't have a bowl eligibility game like we did last year. So
Never. That's
yeah,
never the fate
I
of
think
the
that
Palmetto Bowl you want.
this team will surprise some people.
All right, I think that's a good take. Now, since we talked about Virginia Tech, do we want to go right into the men of Blacksburg?
Yes.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
Okay.
hop. I need to
Sam,
get
that was
there.
what a great finishing take. Thank you, sir.
Good luck,
Peace out,
Sam.
guys. Thanks.
Peace.
Okay, let's talk a little Virginia Tech. Do you want to open us up, or do you want me to open us up?
Yeah, okay, I can open us up.
Let's do it.
I'm just thinking, the first thing, just big game James. He's here. He's in the ACC, and I'm excited to see how he translates to this conference. Virginia Tech has been down for a little bit. I'm excited to see him try to revive the program, bring him back to some prominence. And I think this is a very doable, this is a very achievable endeavor in a conference like this where it's pretty wide open year to year. You have some top dogs, but it's not going to be too difficult to solidify yourself as a bona fide contender year in, year out if you're able to build a program the way you did it at Penn State. I really like Grunkmeyer at QB. Even in his first year as a starter, I thought he had a lot of poise and accuracy. I got to see him play in person at the Pinstripe Bowl against Clemson. I think he played really well in that game. And I talked about it last week. I think the most improvement is going to come for starting quarterbacks from their first season of starting to the second season. So Virginia Tech is the benefit of that this year. And I'm just excited to see what Grunkmeyer is able to do. I mean, there's examples of guys you go year 3 to year 4 and you're expecting a guy to take a leap, but I don't think that's as common as that year 1 to 2 boost where you get the confidence of having it in your head that I'm the guy. I'm the one everything hinges on, and now I know what I'm doing. I'm not going into things a little unprepared, and I think that's where you're going to see a leap for him. I think Brent Pry being brought in at DC, I love that move. I mean, familiar with Blacksburg pretty intimately from his time being the head coach there, and then
True.
he's worked with James Franklin for a number of years. So you get him with guys that he brought into that building. I'm sure he did a good job retaining talent as well as they started this process with James Franklin. So it's good to have that face in there as well, and a recognizable leader when there's so much turmoil and change going on within the program. And then, like I said, when we were talking about Clemson, they have a pretty manageable ramp up into the season. I think they'll be able to pick up some momentum, put some stuff on tape where you're like, okay, we're a team, we're a good team, and we're going to be able to play with the big dogs in the conference. So I think that having a manageable schedule early is perfect for a team like this with a first year head coach. And I trust James Franklin. I think he got sort of a raw deal at Penn State. We covered it a lot last year. And no matter what you say about him, he is a good college football coach and knows how to build a program. So I have faith in him being able to do that at Virginia Tech. And at the end of the day, we're also talking about a conference that's just simply pound for pound not as talented as the Big Ten. So I think he'll be able to do his thing in this conference, and I'm excited to see what type of product they put on the field.
I mean, this is one of the most fascinating stories in all of college football. If you look at their schedule, you're trying to think, what is Virginia Tech going to be? And I think you kind of get a really fun game September 19th. You go to College Park, Maryland. It's Malik Washington,
Baller.
what is it? Yeah, Malik
Yeah, Malik
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah, you got Malik Washington playing Grunkmeyer in a game that they're in the same regionality. Like Virginia Tech should win this football game, but the Terps are no slouch in terms of it's not like playing a group of five or a FCS opponent, right? So that's a good, okay, what is this program looked at as? Then you play BC, you should win that game. And then you go a 3-game stretch that it's all teams that are in your echelon of the ACC. It's Pitt, it's Cal, it's Georgia Tech. You get Pitt and Georgia Tech at home, but you go to Cal. That 3-game stretch is actually going to be where Virginia Tech reveals themselves. If they go 1-2, it's like, okay, they're in that middle tier. They're probably going to be like a 6-6 team, 5-7. They're going to stay around that range. They go 2-1, like, oh, good team. This 7 or 8 games. If they go 3-0, now we go to the Clemson game, and we are 7-0 going to Death Valley. Automatic game day. The Blacksburg, like James Franklin hype will be out of this world, and we get to see that game. So I just think this is just going to be such a fascinating year. I'm really excited for James Franklin because this is the first time he's going to have like a positive hype around the program. It was always super toxic in Happy Valley because it was never enough, and they were expecting to beat Ohio State when that was really never going to be in the cards consistently. Although I do agree with them, it was a really poor record against top 15 teams. I would concede that point that point every single time. But in the same vein, he was a really good football coach. So I'd love to see him a little bit less negative press, a little bit less pressure, but a huge opportunity. So
And Virginia Tech's a great play. Like that's a spot that you can get it done. Like they will put investment into the football program if James Franklin brings the right type of juice there. So it's an exciting opportunity for him. It's a very fruitful recruiting area if you're able to tap into it correctly. We talked about that when he first got hired too.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people aren't familiar. Honestly, me, like I'm not that familiar with like the buzz of like a Blacksburg game day. Right. I'm really familiar with, a Bama game, a Georgia game. Like you just feel you're watching college game day. The college football public's like all over, buzzing like a bee around the game. But that used to be Virginia Tech. I mean, I'm blanking on his name. It's
Frank Beamer.
Yeah. In the Frank Beamer era, they were nasty. And they were a team where when Enter Sandman played, it was one of the most electric entrances in college football. So I think I'm more excited to like see the revival of that place because like Pate says, there's no reason the state of Virginia has been to be this bad at football for the past 15 years, right? There's absolutely no reason. And again, we saw last year, Tony Elliott get UVA they were a couple snaps away from an ACC championship and a playoff berth, as nuts as that sounds. We'll talk about UVA later, but I just think it's such a fascinating story. I'm really excited to see how Virginia Tech plays out. And I want to preface this. If they go 6-6, that's okay. That just means like they're on schedule. If they arrive this year, you're like, oh shit, it happened a little earlier than we thought. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I was just going to ask because I don't see them much as like a Charlotte contender. I don't know if they necessarily have enough to. They have a lot of good teams on their schedule. They play SMU, they play Miami, they play Clemson. So I don't necessarily see them as a championship game contender,
No,
but
I see
them as a potential spoiler. Like I can see them potentially picking up a big win in a year one against Franklin over a team like SMU, maybe even over a team like Miami or over Clemson. Like my question to you is going to be, what do you think a win total? You said 6-6, but do you think that's satisfying enough for all the hype that's surrounding James Franklin? What do you think the adequate win total for him to consider year one a success? For me, it's like more in the 7 to 8 win range. And then maybe you pick up a bowl win as well. So you go 8-9 wins, and then you're like, wow, look at Virginia Tech, good turnaround in year one. And then they have some momentum to take into recruiting and everything.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I mean, I think my hopefulness says like I'd love to see them hit 8, but that just might not be in the cards. And I don't think 6-6 is bad. I think 6-6 is like I'm a little disappointed, good fuel but like when no panic buttons are being hit, So yeah, but like I want to temper expectations because I do think their schedule is really hard. Like we just talked about their first 7 games. Then they got to play SMU, Miami, and Virginia in the back half of the year, which a rivalry game, and then two of the best teams in the conference. So this is no cakewalk. And Pitt's good, and Cal's good, and Georgia Tech's like these are teams that have this very similar talent profile. So I mean, and there's a chance, like, I think it just depends on what Ethan Grunkmeyer is too. Like, we like him a lot, and we're projecting maybe a year two bump. But if we don't get that, and he's more of a game manager, and they hit 7 wins, it's like, okay, like that was a building
I think
year.
7 wins is a great first year.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you build off that,
Mhm.
and then maybe you pick up a bowl game win too. You go 8-5.
Yeah, you beat like
I feel like 8-5 is how I'm envisioning their season going in some form or fashion.
I'm pretty aligned with you because I think a lot of people are like way too high or way too low on Virginia Tech. Like,
I remember we did it. I forget what the podcast was about. We did a pod like early spring, and we looked at the Virginia Tech schedule. We were like, 10 wins is, I mean, it's not unreasonable, but
I mean,
I'm feel a little bit more down to earth right now in terms of their potential.
What we were doing is we said they if they're 7-0 going into the Clemson game, all you need is you got to go 3 out of your last 5 to hit the 10 mark.
Right.
Or all you need to go is 2 out of your last 5 and then win the bowl game.
And 7-0, there's not a 0% chance. I'd put it at there's like a 31% chance that happens.
31?
Because the teams, they do play good teams, but they could also be pretty frisky. So
yeah, you're right. I think, okay.
Like we have no idea what they're going to be.
Step one, beat Maryland. That's like
step one, beat VMI.
Yeah,
on September 5th.
Before I like put all my eggs in the James Franklin basket, we got to beat Maryland. I don't want to get got and like be like, oh my God, they lost to Maryland. Like, we can't lose that game. That's going to be a high pressure environment. Okay, Arch is back on the pod. We just finished up Virginia Tech. Now we go to Arch. You like CJ Bailey this year?
Big fan of him.
Yeah, we're gonna talk NC State.
The infamous year 3 jump that everyone expects that really doesn't ever happen, but I think this one is different. They did lose a lot of their they lost skill players. Justin Jolie went to the NFL as a tight end. I think we mentioned him a few episodes back.
Cody Hardy, big loss.
Yeah, huge loss.
Big loss for 12 personnel there.
Yeah. You lose Hollywood Smothers to Texas, kind of at the end of the portal, and definitely some tampering going on there. But Dave Doran, you don't get him back because of tampering, so you just got to replace. They brought in a few FCS transfers, that a receiver and a running back that I think will help. So I mean, I believe I think they either have a returning running back that's in or a transfer that had some production elsewhere.
Wait, guys, do you know? Are you familiar with the Snowman? Have you heard of the Snowman?
Snowman.
This is he's a Buffalo transfer. His name's Victor Snow. 5'8", 165. The Snowman.
Good receiver.
Absolute jitterbug. Get ready. He's such a twitch ball. Get him ready. He's going to be running across the formation all the time. I really like him in like the KC Concepcion role, like shittier Concepcion, but same type of archetype of get ball in hands in open space. Victor Snow.
He was very Buffalo with pretty lackluster quarterback the last few years. So that's a guy I was thinking of that I think will be he'll be a plug and play guy that'll get open against the ACC.
NC State, the schedule, I think, what are they and do they beat UVA is gonna like, are they worse or better than UVA in your opinion? Wait.
Did you know that that game is in Brazil?
Yeah.
Thank goodness it's not. Wait,
it's not.
It's in Charlotte.
Not anymore.
They moved.
It was supposed to be.
They canceled that?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Brazil. It was supposed to be a Brazil non-conference game. They moved it back to Charlottesville and made it a conference game. Because you know why?
I didn't know. I don't know where I read that it was in Brazil.
It was.
It was Brazil until about like a month ago.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, famously, they played a non-conference conference game last year as well.
Yeah.
And
the streets won't forget. Yes. NC
State won, got no credit for it.
For Virginia. It was ridiculous.
I see them in a similar light. I mean, their schedule is such a slog. I don't think they have any chance of making an ACC title game, but I see them in a similar light to how we just talked about Virginia Tech. Potential spoiler for because they play Clemson, Miami, SMU, Louisville. They play all the top dogs that are the preseason contenders for the conference championship. So
No,
I
they don't
think
play. Do they play? I don't think they play Miami.
They avoid Miami, but
sorry, not
avoid
Miami.
Miami and Clemson, but they still get
Louisville and
and that's
no
about it.
SMU. Dude,
Okay,
honestly,
sorry.
they actually
You know what?
their schedule is actually dog shit. It's actually
You know what?
dog shit.
Let me rephrase. Where I was going with this. Ultimately, I wanted to circle back to the fact that I think Louisville is a big hinge game
Yeah.
when they go to NC State October 3rd. They avoid SMU, Clemson, Miami, but I see them in a spoiler light because I think they're not good enough to contend, but going into that game, Louisville's got a lot of expectations for competing and making a conference championship game. So I think that's a great spot for NC State. They go to NC State, a good upset spot for NC State with CJ Bailey, with
Does
the
does
consistency that program has.
does Vegas know something we don't? Because NC State's schedule is so weak, and they're eighth in the conference market. They just might. I mean,
It's
I
because
like
Vegas,
CJ Bailey, but
it's because
huh?
Vegas is this kind of goes into why I was buying them. Their
Vegas
schedule
is
is
wrong.
their schedule is extremely workable, and like Dustin mentioned,
Extremely.
the Louisville game is the hinge game, but even with how fortuitous this schedule is for NC State, they won the ACC schedule lottery. You could drop that game to Louisville, and you can still make it to Charlotte very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Like Louisville's, I think they're a top 3 ACC team. Obviously, I'm holding them. I think, and I guess it might be bold to say the winner of the Louisville NC State game, I think, will be playing Miami and Charlotte.
We'll write that one down.
When you think about just how workable it is with Bailey, I mean, I think in the ACC quarterback matters. I like not more than other conferences, but if you just gave me just a returning quarterback only, you can win more games in the ACC than you could if you just gave like a returning quarterback in like the SEC or Big Ten. Solely because I think some of these teams are worser, so it's more workable for them.
Yeah.
And I think CJ Bailey can win them football games against like Cal, Duke, and Syracuse, and at North Carolina
By just
like
being the best player on the field.
Yeah, like that's why I think it's a, and even in Virginia, like they play Virginia week 0, they're 6-point underdogs. They aren't losing, so I mean, and
In
right
Brazil,
now,
they might have lost, but now.
And right now, Louisville is projected as a 3-point favorite against NC State. So it's not even like a huge, like they're not going to be a double-digit underdog at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a game you can win. So I mean, I think NC State really workable schedule. Great coach. Returning a lot, but they did get a lot of transfers in. So
okay, I think it's a perfect segment since we were talking about the cards to go straight to Louisville. So Louisville is second in the odds market. They're also second in spending in the ACC. So I think according to the NIL standard, which that's like, I guess the most reputable NIL, projected budgeting. Miami's well over $40 million at like 41, 42, 43 million. And NC State, Louisville's at like 29 million. And that's like the second biggest team. So Duska, just like we talked about the Farmers League for La Liga the Paris League, Liga 1, and the Big 12. I think the same thing applies probably here for Miami. But Louisville is like that next best program, and I think Vegas is giving them the nod as the second team in the ACC because one, Jeff Brom could be coaching at a bigger, better school, but he's a Louisville alumni. So that's absolutely huge for them to like retain coaching talent. They also bring in Lincoln Kineholtz, who, by all counts, gave Julian Sayin an absolute run for his money. And Sayin is like one of the best quarterbacks in college football. So they get him from Ohio State. I don't know what number he's wearing. Is he still going to be in the 33? Who knows? But I'm really excited for the Cards. Like you said, the NC State game, huge hinge game. They also they get SMU at home in mid-September, and I think that's pretty much their biggest game of the year. in terms of conference standing. So SMU's in the same odds bracket. They're like the 2 and 3 teams in the ACC when you look at the odds right now, and I really like what they bring in from a quarterback and coach standpoint, which, like you said, Arch, you give me those two things in the ACC, that goes a long way.
Yeah. Just to start, I think an interesting scheduling dynamic for Louisville off the top is their Saturday game when they host SMU, their first conference game. It's also their first Saturday game of the year, which I don't know if that plays a role because they play on Sunday in Nashville against Ole Miss, and they play, which is a very quick turnaround, Sunday to Friday when they play Nova. So I think that could be something to monitor, a little extra rest
Whoa,
day before.
that is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
mean, it
don't
is only
you
Villanova. I would be concerned if my team was playing Sunday to Friday, but like I said, it is Villanova, so I think you
true.
could be.
It's just
Still no
weird.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really weird way. That's a really weird scheduling dynamic. I don't know why that's. I mean, I guess it's ACC network game, so it's money reasons, but
Yeah.
tickets are as low as $9. So
Yeah, I think offense, you return Isaac Brown, you lose a lot of receivers, but you get I believe they get 5 new starters on the offensive line, one from BC and then one from South Carolina that I'm sure Sam has very strong opinions on, Case and Henry. But their defense, they return a bunch, which I think is pretty important.
they
You
fly
kind of want.
around.
Yeah, if you wanted a question mark for your team, you'd probably want it on the unit that your head coach coaches, because they can get they most likely they should, if they're employed as a Power 4 football coach, be able to get the most out of the unit they coach. I think Keenholz is in a good spot. Love what they did bringing in or retaining Isaac Brown. He was in the portal and then he came back. Really high on. Also, they don't play Miami, which I don't know if that matters. They beat them last year with a much worse team. But like I said, you get your hardest game at home against SMU. You play Florida State at home. I think Florida State can be a very frisky spoiler team. I don't know if we've already touched on them, but high on Louisville. That's why I believe you're buying them, Chuck, and that's why I'm holding them.
Yeah, Louisville, like what we thought what Miller Moss would be last year. Like I was a little bit high on Miller Moss, and he ended up being fine. I think Keinholz is going to be a much better version of him, at least not turning the ball over in the worst possible moments and making some stinky interceptions.
I see them having a very similar year to last year. I don't know if I necessarily would predict them to make the ACC championship game. We'll talk about a team I'm high on later, or higher on. But I could see them having a couple close losses that cost them. We talked about early on, they have some pretty hinge games. So I think they're always going to be pretty consistent as long as Brahm's there. And I think we can confidently say that they're a perennial contender under him, and they have the ability to win big games. So it's all going to hinge on quarterback play and like you said, whenever there's an entire new offensive line up front too, puts questions around being able to run the ball, which they've kind of hung their hat on a lot with the success they've had in the Braum era. So a lot's going to hinge on that, and I'm still confident that they're going to be able to move pretty comfortably through the ACC. I just think that there's going to be a couple close games similar to last year that knock them out of contention for Charlotte.
All right.
Yeah. I'm going to highlight one last guy, the transfer they got, and this is the guy I was really high on in the portal from Vandy, Trey Richardson. A lot of bigger names.
Love him.
A lot of bigger names were going after him. I know UGA was one of them. It would have been a great landing spot for him, but he takes his talents to Louisville. That could be a good. I mean, I think when you talk about, obviously it's not the same, but when you bring in a receiver and a quarterback that both portal guys that kind of gel together, your offense will be much better off than it would if you didn't. So I think that'll be an interesting addition, and I think it'll really help Keenholz early on. Probably be someone he leans on throughout the year.
Richardson had over 800 yards for Vandy last year, so this is a really good player. I want to play, since like we're gonna get into Miami and SMU and Cal, like finish it off, but I do want to mention a couple other squads, but we're gonna rapid fire them. So at the bottom of the ACC, Stanford and Boston College are the two worst in the odds, plus 40,000 for both of them. Who wins more football games this year? Stanford or BC?
Probably.
BC's schedule's ridiculously hard. It's like top 25 in the country.
Stanford's bad though.
I know.
I think of Stanford more in a positive light just because I like Andrew Luck, but I think I give him too much credit. And reality of the situation for that program is they've been arguably the worst Power 4 team over the last 3 to 4 years. So
I think the only game Stanford might be favored in is against Elon. I mean, and dude, Hawaii, like they might be
favorite against Hawaii.
Yeah, are they?
They're a 3-point favorite, which is, I guess, might be home field in Palo Alto.
It is. It's pretty much home field. You're basically giving them home field against Hawaii, and then they'll be like a 15-point favorite against Elon, and I think that's the only game they'll be favored in.
You know what Stanford's a prime candidate for?
What?
Getting booted from the ACC. Can we please get them out of this conference? Like,
you mean the campus on the Pacific Ocean? That one?
First of all, okay, yes, they're good at Olympic sports and they won a bunch of gold medals in the Paris Olympics. They're good at a bunch of other sports too, but there's just no practical reason if the revenue driver of your institution is football, there's no reason to keep them in the ACC. They're just going to be bad every year. The Pac-12 is sort of revived, and I'd say they're at a similar level at this point to most of the teams in that conference. So why not just move back, make travel easier? Your athletic department will save so much money in travel costs playing teams on the Pacific Coast, not the Atlantic Coast, and you can still be prominent in all the sports you're already good at. And football, sure, it has a lot of pedigree at Stanford, but we've fallen on hard times, similar to BC, who have a lot of pedigree, but I just similar spot where I just think it's tough to get it done there. But I don't think BC should be kicked out of the ACC.
Arch, I thought BC was playing Michigan State. Did I?
They play Rutgers.
Oh, Rutgers.
I thought on your short you said Michigan State.
Well,
whatever.
No. I was talking about their game. I don't know.
Okay.
They didn't play Michigan State early last year.
They do play Notre Dame.
One thing about Stanford, I would say, is if you put them in the Pac-12 right now, I don't know if they would even be the odds-on favorite to win this.
No, they wouldn't.
Put them back.
Boise
would
State
be better than Fresno, Boise, Texas State.
No, San Diego State would be better.
I think they would probably be sixth.
In the Mountain
At least
West,
they would have a fighting chance.
Time out. In the Mountain West, would they be the favorite? I don't think so. I think North Dakota State,
Hawaii, that's only like the fourth best in their conference. New Mexico would probably, and Air Force would be favored. Air Force.
I don't. Okay. I don't know about that.
Air Force is literally like second in their odds or third.
I understand, but I picked them in the G5 in the G6 draft, but I think we're taking a bit too much away from Stanford.
Okay. So Boston College, the only games they're going to be favored in are maybe Rutgers and Maine. So
Boston College is going to go 4-8 this year, so they're going to have more wins than Stanford.
I'm holding BC, so we're going to see.
I think they'll win. They'll start off 3-0, and then they'll get Syracuse because Syracuse is lifeless.
Okay,
I like Syracuse way more than Boston College.
Okay, yeah, but those are different odds. The next bucket in the same type of odds is: do you like Syracuse better or North Carolina better? Who is more intriguing?
I like the Syracuse. Okay, I think Syracuse clears by a lot. I like their QB situation, whether it's going to be Steve Angeli or they brought in Malachi Nelson and Amari Odom.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have a lot more talent in that room than is even sniffed by the UNC quarterback room. So I really like that situation. They brought in a lot of skill, talent in skill positions as well. They brought in that running back from Jack State. He was really good last year. And I mean, out of all these bottom, what we would consider the bottom tier of the ACC, I like their situation a lot more than all of these other teams.
The Syracuse-Boston College game is going to be so fun.
That'll be a great just bottom feeder ACC
just awesome game.
I think one thing for UNC that would have been very interesting if they would have kept the Western Carolina quarterback Teron Dickens, although he did go to Northern Illinois. That would have been actually fun. But question, does anybody know who UNC's offensive coordinator is?
Yeah. Isn't it Bobby Petrino?
Yep, Petrino.
That's kind of intriguing.
It is. Hey, you'll see week 0.
He's sneaky good. He's still a good OC.
Yeah, but with Billy Edwards?
He's still got
just back to Syracuse for a sec. I think we're I mean, I think they ran into a lot of bad luck last year, and
No
Fran
doubt.
Brown has lost a lot of the positive emotion and feelings that he had going in his direction after 2024. He's experienced success at this program already, and I think that they're positioned a lot better, coach, quarterback, and everything down the line wise than all of these other teams.
Okay.
Yeah, Syracuse got
I'd
a
like
lot of
to.
juke transfers in general for their skill positions, which could, pay dividends. They
All right.
seem to rely on them more.
Can I propose a question too before we move off these?
Yeah.
I think we should all make a prediction right now about Bill Belichick and his viability as the UNC head coach in 2027. I'll start us off. I think that there's just simply no way that they're able to pull 6 wins together, and I think with another losing season that it simply just can't go on any longer, and that he will not be the head coach next year at UNC.
Well, me and LaDoyan were sitting in the UNC stadium in late March, just having a chat because we were at UNC Chapel Hill for the Pitt women's lacrosse game.
How difficult was it to get in?
We walked right in the stadium.
Nice.
So we enjoyed some tobacco in the upper deck of the stadium. Place looked really cool. Not sure if Bill Belichick will be returning. We did see Steve Belichick at a baseball game, at the UNC baseball game. We saw Steve Belichick. So maybe this was just a ploy to step down and hand Stevie the reins. Arch, what say you?
Probably not, but yeah, I don't think Belichick. Their schedule. I mean, even if you say they get like I do, say they get a upset win in Dublin against TCU,
Oh, really?
you still play Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, Louisville, NC State, Virginia.
Schedule's no
At,
good.
their
That's
schedule is horrible.
cooked.
Yeah.
It's over.
It is over.
Okay, well, okay. Next,
You
the
either
next
die a hero or live long enough to see yourself
stuff
become a
become the
villain.
villain. You're right.
Sorry,
All right.
Bill.
Duke, Luke, Duke Luska. Do you like Duke or do you like Wake better this year? Both are sitting at 7 and 8,000 plus.
Man, oh man, I'd rather, just for the sole reason, I'd rather put my eggs in the Walker Eggett basket than the Gio Lopez basket. So I'm gonna go with Duke. They've had really solid offense since Manny Diaz has been there. Surprisingly, defense hasn't been as good under a guy like Manny Diaz who'd expect it to be better. So maybe you get that year 3 bump from him, and then I would rather avoid the Gio Lopez basket. So I'm gonna put my eggs in the Duke basket. over Wake.
Saturday, November 28th, the last game of the year. The Duke Blue Devils go to Winston-Salem for the battle of bowl eligibility. Arch, who do you like in that?
I like Wake Forest. I was kind of higher on. I kind of previewed that in my ACC. I'm intrigued by Jake Dickert with Gio Lopez because I think Gio Lopez is better than Bobby Ashford that he had last year, and Dickert doesn't take the greatest quarterbacks. He takes quarterbacks that fit for his scheme and he makes them work.
I thought Robbie Ashford was okay.
I just think Lopez can be even better than that.
And I think Lopez was really bad last year.
Well, that was because they put him in a pro
tough situation.
Yeah, that's why I think a scheme like this will help him not conform him to something he's not. So I'm intrigued by that. They got a few transfers in, but I'm not going to go pound my fist at the table to back Wake Forest at all. So, but I don't know. Eggett's good, but Duke's schedule seems like it's harder just at glance. So I'll take Wake Forest.
All right. Let's go into an actual team preview. We're going to go Miami here. Miami basically took the best weapons of Duke. They let Hazley stay there, but they took Mensah and Cooper Barkate from Durham. They spent over $41 million on this roster, and the Malachi Toney in the slot and Cooper Barkate in the outside is going to give defensive coordinators nightmares all around the ACC. They also bring back Mark Fletcher. I mean, this squad is loaded. Early November, we've got Catholics versus Convicts, which decided a playoff spot last year. We get it again this year. Should be fun. Miami 10.5 line. Sam took the under, presuming that they lose a game they shouldn't, but I think Menz is going to be a lot better than what Carson Beck was, and I think Menz is going to be a serious contender for the Heisman. There's really not a ton to say about this squad. Like, Cristobal got this thing rolling, and the checks are coming in, and the recruits are coming in. They're in the most fruitful recruiting area in the country. It's a good time to be a Hurricanes fan, and it's good for the sport overall. I mean, the ACC is a travesty in terms of overall competitiveness to the Big Ten and the SEC. So Miami's holding it down. What say you guys? Anything, any take, any – what's the storyline this year for the Hurricanes?
I hate to alienate myself from the Miami fan base again, like I did last playoff, but I think there's one potential. I think, I think Mensa, first of all, bona fide will be a top 5 quarterback in college football easily. Could be the best if all goes well. Cooper Barkate, seeing him play in person from the sideline, ball player. All that needs to be said about him. I think there's one potential spot that could be an issue for Miami. They addressed it semi well, but there was no bona fide signings or super blue chip signings from the transfer portal that would give you a lot of confidence with them having to replace a lot of production at this position. Now, it's all related to the offensive line. I will say Miami has a distinct advantage in that Alex Mirabal is probably the best offensive line coach in the country, and then Mario Cristobal is also an O-line guy. So if there was one place that you could trust for internal development and high school development to rule the day and for them to be in a fine position, it would probably be this program. But at the end of the day, they lost 4 starters that all went to the NFL that were the engine of them making a national championship game. Now they signed the number 1 tackle prospect in the entire high school class of 2026. So he'll probably slot right in as a starter in day 1, but they have to replace all those other positions. I think interior wise, they'll have enough talent there in house that they'll be able to find the right mix there as season goes on. But if you want to protect Darian Mensah, your $10 million guy, and be as explosive as you want to be on offense, then it's going to start up front. You got to get Mark Fletcher downhill, and then you got to open that up for the pass game. So I think if there's any spot that could potentially derail their season, it's this season where they lost so much production and need to find some answers. But like I said, they have a pretty good institutional base with their offensive line coach and head coach that it probably won't end up being an issue, and they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I echo everything Duska says. I think one signing or transfer I liked was Damon Wilson coming in from UGA in Missouri. I think he'll be a great fit there. He's not going to be like a Bain type or a Mesidor pass rusher, but I think he's better down to down. Not better than them, but he's going to be an all ACC caliber player. I think it'll be interesting to see Corey Heatherman, their defensive coordinator, in year 2. Huge strides. Obviously, year 1 coming over from Minnesota, which we were all pretty high on that hire in the offseason. I think the narrative is going to be around Cristobal and does he lose a game he shouldn't. I was reading an article in Stats, and every single year that he's been a head coach back to his FIU days, he hasn't lost by at least a double-digit underdog or a double-digit favorite once in every season. And the only season, or except one season, the only season he didn't, he was like a 25-point favorite, and they won in overtime. He's known for losing these games that he shouldn't. 2 years ago, I'm forgetting one, but the other one was Georgia Tech. Last year, he had Louisville and SMU. This year, I kind of agree with Sam's sentiment because I don't think that narrative is going to change this year. I think they have a really tough game in Death Valley, third at Clemson, and a team that if you expect a lot, you're going to get less. But if you expect less, you're going to get more. And I think that's going to be a perfect spot for Dabo to get the Tigers fired up. So, and they're obviously they play Pitt too. There's losable games on this schedule, and I still have them in Charlotte at the end of the year. And you can have a bogey when you lose a game, and you'll still be all right.
Never expect a national championship out of Clemson. I'll give that advice.
Yeah.
Words of the wise. SMU, we've got this pony up. Shout out Kevin Jennings. He's got his own building named after him as an active starting quarterback. That might be a
The
first.
Kelvin Jenkins Recovery Center.
I realized they misspelled the center. I thought that was weird. Whatever. I'll have to.
If we had a higher budget, I would get one of our employees to roll back all the times of you mispronouncing his name last year.
Yeah. Kelvin Jenkins. Kevin Jennings, guys. That's the guy's name. He was really injured last year, and he still may do. Really good quarterback, one of the best in the ACC. I think I had him in my top 4 for sure. He, along with Rhett Lashley, are always making things happen. And Dallas is like a speed area. They're always recruiting just fast dudes. They play fast. They don't always have like NFL prototype weapons. A little bit like how Pitt plays, but they do it better. So I think this SMU team, Jennings is a dark horse Heisman kind of guy, depending on the year SMU has, if they go to the ACC championship. And they've got a couple huge games. They've got at Louisville, September 19th. They go Virginia Tech, November 6th. And then they've also got Notre Dame, November 21st. So this is an intriguing Mustangs schedule. And this team has done really well since joining the ACC. So what say you guys about SMU? My overall take is the Louisville game in September 19th. What a hinge game, because their schedule's a little bit more doable than Louisville's schedule.
I love this team. Sorry, go ahead, Arch.
No, you got it.
I'm gonna wax poetically about SMU for a sec. I'm very high on them this year. Just looking at their schedule, yes, they play Notre Dame, but I think they have it. I don't want to call it easy, but I think they have a very viable path to 9 or 10 wins in the regular season if they're able to stay healthy. I just think it all hinges on Rhett Lashley. They had some coordinator turnover, but he's calling plays there. That's always been the case with them. And as long as Jennings is at QB for this team, they're always going to have a chance in any game. If you watched him play injured against Miami last year, you see the potential that this team has. They made a playoff in their first year in Power 4 in 2024. This team has drastically overachieved their expectations since they made it to the ACC and started heavily investing in their athletic programs. And I'm just really high on them and think the combination of Lashley and Jennings is just very potent. And they've been a really hard team to beat the last 2 years. And if not for I don't want to call them fluky. They definitely didn't play good enough to win the games that they lost, but outside of 2 tough losses last year, they should have been competing in Charlotte again for an ACC championship, and likely, if they played that Duke team, would have won the conference. So I'll always be high on this team as long as Jennings is healthy and Rhett Lashley is the one calling the plays. So I picked them. They're my buy this year. I think they soar over their win total, and we see another 10-win season out of SMU and a potential playoff berth, potential Charlotte berth, and an ACC championship bid.
Yeah, I'm a little more bearish on them. Obviously, they're the team I did sell, so it is going head to head with Duska. I do like a lot of they return. They bring in good transfers. I love Rhett Lashley. I think kind of it might be an underrated or understated loss is their 2 top pass catchers from last year in Jordan Hudson and Romello Brinson. 2 really good receivers for SMU. All ACC guys. I believe both of them got picked up in
Brinson
the NFL.
was
they're like
pretty
uber
special.
talented when you did. Yeah. And they were, like you could throw on tape of them last year, and they were very special. And I think that's going to hurt, obviously, Jennings, because he's had them for his last 2 years, and they're kind of meteoric rise in the ACC once they started out from. So I think that'll be interesting. They do lose R.J. Maryland, who was one of their tight ends that was he was hurt last year off and on. He got hurt in 2024, but he was a really good weapon when they had him. I do think their schedule is kind of interesting, like because overall it's not that difficult, but there are some interesting spots I think that could be dangerous to a team like SMU that I don't think is going to be so much more talented than a lot of these teams they play. Like Florida State, they go to Florida State week 1. I think that they're only a 3-point favorite right now. That'll be a very interesting game on the Monday night Labor Day game. You go to at Louisville, like they said. You play Notre Dame, which really won't matter for you getting to Charlotte because it's not a conference game. But last year they went on the road to Cal and they lost on one of their last. I believe it might have been the last game. Yeah, and they play at Stanford this year. And I'm not comparing Stanford to Cal at all, but I believe you see that West Coast travel messing them up towards the end of the season when they have it in their sights. And do you see that again this year if things go the way that they should or that they hope and they're in the driver's seat to Charlotte at that point. So that's why I'm a little bearish on them, but overall I like Jennings. I just think there's going to be a lot more struggle than expected with losing his top 3 pass catchers.
Yeah. One weapon that they do return is Ymir Knight. He had 600 yards for them last year. He was really good at JMU the year before, so they keep him. He's like a twitchy slot guy, fast. So that's usually a guy that Rhett Lashley likes to use a lot, kind of like the snowman that we talked about.
One of many battles in the long-standing rivalry between me and Arch.
Yeah. Okay. This is going to be the last segment of the show. We're hoping to we'll wrap up soon. I got to get out of here and practice a little my talk track. But if you were a football coach, would you rather be the coach of Cal or the coach of Florida State, who have almost identical odds? They have identical odds.
Am I talking team or am I talking about leash and administration thoughts on me?
Just this year. In a vacuum.
Have you looked at the Florida State schedule?
I have.
It's pretty potent to say the least.
Yeah, no, I said in my write-up, I said 6 wins would be
a miracle.
A win for Florida State.
And unfortunately, 6 wins, like I was kind of hinting at, 6 wins is getting Norvell fired, I believe. Which is why probably why I would take Cal. If I could get on my soapbox for a second about FSU, though, I think this team is like we talked about it in the Big 12 with Arizona. I'm not comparing FSU and Arizona, but their schedules are both pretty hard conference-wise, and I think these teams are going to be so much better than what their records show towards the end of the year. I do love Deuce Robinson, great receiver, tight end that was converted to receiver. He was at USC at FSU for a second year. I do love both of FSU's running backs in Quintravion Weiser from Texas and then Osman Cromar. He ran very hard versus
loved him.
You bring in a proven winner, gamer, in Ashton Daniels. You bring some pieces in. You bring a new defensive coordinator, I believe, from I'm pretty sure this is his first year from Nebraska.
Also, Arch, I'm going to join your soapbox because I actually share the exact same sentiment as you. You're paying top dollar for 2 tackles. You got Xavier Chaplin coming from Auburn and Nate Pabst coming from Bowling Green. He's got 38 consecutive starts. Also, you've got a freshman All-American edge rusher in Mondrell Desir and an edge rusher, Rylan Kennedy from Texas A&M. They are paying top dollar for the edges of their offensive line and their edges of their defensive line. I think they bolster their trenches. I actually really like this Florida State team and think they're going to get just kind of messed around by their schedule. Give this team the SMU schedule that I think they get to 8 or 9 wins.
And I think they have some interesting spots. Like Clemson goes to Tallahassee, but it's off of a bye for FSU. Like this team is going to be frisky. Like I mentioned, I forget what team I was saying it, but I think FSU is going to be very frisky. I think it might have been NC State or Louisville. But this Florida State team, like I think they're good. Like they're legitimately a top 5 roster on paper, and which they should be. It's inexcusable that we're even having to debate this, but I like them a lot.
Okay. Yeah, Ashton Daniels, if you've never watched him play, you probably have, you just didn't know you were watching him play. He played at Auburn last year. He's like everything Tommy Castellanos is, but bigger and he doesn't do the stupid ass shit Tommy does. So you get the same level of playmaking with the way higher floor. I think he's just in every facet better than Tommy Castellano. So massive
He's
upgrade.
also a proven leader. Coach speak.
Spoken from a guy who's played with him as his quarterback.
Yeah, this is not biased at all. This is just pure football takes on him.
Just to rain on the parade a little bit, unfortunately. I think this is another season. Yes, you can talk about the monetary investment that Florida State is putting into the players they brought in, but at what point do they lose the credibility and trust in their ability to evaluate in the transfer portal and bring in the right talent? I think that over the last 2 years, they've tried to recreate the flash in the pan magic they had in 2023 with their transfer portal classes, as you've seen a slight decline in their ability to acquire high school talent under Mike Norvell. Today I was just looking back to the mid aughts and early 2010s when Florida State was really humming, and they consistently were in the top 15 to top 10 to top 5 of recruiting class every year, and they haven't sniffed that in a little bit. So there's just been a deterioration in their ability to acquire and develop talent, and
Question.
you see all these teams just heavily rely on the portal every year, and it's either hit or miss. And I think for the majority of time at Florida State, it's been a miss. They had one good season where that reliance paid off, but as we continue on down this road with Mike Norvell, I think we've lost a bit of the credibility to go, oh, look at the talent they brought in at edge and tackle. It worked here. It's automatically going to work at Florida State when that hasn't really been the case over the last few years.
I have a question. This is let me conspiracy mill over here. Conspiracy Mill is thinking, is this all Deion Sanders' fault? And how could this be your fault? He's saying, I mean, he has nothing to do with this program. He played there in the 90s. Well, once upon a time, they had the number 2 overall recruit committed to their school. This was Travis Hunter, who went on to win the Heisman. Deion Sanders got him to decommit and commit to an FCS football school in Jackson State. Because of this, their credibility in in-state recruiting has plummeted. They've turned to the portal, and Norvell was kind of humming at that point in his term. And I think this is opening the door to what Deion always wanted, which was the Florida State job in 2027.
Man, I don't know if Deion at this point has done enough to deserve the Florida State job.
I'm just saying.
I understand he's probably grandfathered in, but
maybe the most consequential recruit flipment.
I 100% agree with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
their high school recruiting is just literally.
I just don't know if I would hire Deion after this experience. With
that
Mike
might have
Norvell
been too conspiracy mill. That might have been too far.
Conspiracy mill might be onto something though.
But conspiracy mill, maybe the most consequential commitment flip. Okay,
I agree.
California though, JKS. They're probably Cal in this decade. They're gonna have 3 first-round quarterbacks drafted. They had Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, JKS, Jared Kiawe Sagapoltelli. We'll see what Taj Lupoy's got. Last team, Duska, though, I just wanted to mention Cal. That's really all there is to mention. Georgia Tech. Do you believe?
I do believe. I think as long as
You're a Brent
Key's
Key
at the
guy.
helm, I love Brent Key. I think they just have a sustainable play style across any types of talent turnover they will experience there, and it's going to be difficult for Georgia Tech no matter what, just based on the school and their ability to bring in top level prospects. But I think that Brent Key has a special ability to bring in guys that fit perfectly into the mold of his program. I mean, Haynes King has got to be the most ideal Brent Key type of player that they could possibly have ever had in that program. Unfortunately, he's gone. But I think bringing in a Mendoza, I forget what you guys said about Alberto Mendoza on the preview pod, but when you bring in a guy like that, I think that's the exact type of DNA a team like Georgia Tech is looking for, and definitely they have more to prove this year. They're not going into the season with as much talent and production proven, but they brought in Justice Haynes from Michigan, who is perfect for this gap scheme, run it downhill type of offense that they have. And I like the pieces that they brought in on offense, and I think as long as you have Brent Key at the helm, then you're going to be able to you're going to be able to impose the identity of your football team into games and really show what your program is built and made of. And I think that's the type of team Georgia Tech has consistently proven to be under Brent Key. And I trust that even though they've had that much turnover, they're going to be able to translate that into success still. So I believe I'll always believe as long as Key's at the helm. I think that the viability of him at staying at Georgia Tech might not be great just because of their ability to acquire talent and investment compared to other places. And I think that he could be at the helm of a bigger program, but it is his alma mater, so you have to consider that as well.
Could I interest you in some Zay Furman stock?
I love Isaiah Furman too. He's a good receiver. Watch out for him.
Watch out, Elon transfer.
Good ball player.
Sprinkled throughout former
Great
teammate.
jump ball guy. Like he's gonna go up and get it for.
He's gonna have
he's a big
he's
boy.
gonna have like one top 10.
No doubt.
No doubt.
No
Okay.
doubt.
Last thing about Georgia Tech, they have a stretch that starts Halloween and ends in early November. It goes Pitt, Louisville, Clemson. Very consequential stretch. You got to get one of those games. You have to.
You do. I believe.
Yeah. Well, Luke.
We don't even have to talk about this team. I think Virginia's going to regress a lot and be bad this year. We didn't cover them. Way too much transfer alliance this year.
I am in on that. 2 quarterbacks is no quarterbacks.
They do have an elite QB though in Bo Pribula.
Yeah, exactly. Whoever Twitter fingers.
And
whoever
isn't Eli Holstein there too?
Yeah.
Okay. And Matt Downing's in the building as well. So
yeah,
our boy Matt Down.
He got the inside scoop from the quarterbacks. No, I'm not moved though by that squad. I think Tony Elliott, you've done a good job. I would
try to parlay that into a bigger deal as quick as I could.
Yeah. I would.
70th overall high school recruiting class in 2026.
Ooh, really that bad? Yeah. I mean, there's like 64 G4 teams.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How are we getting out recruited?
They were trailing a few G6 squads in that ranking. Yeah.
Well, that's never a good outlook. Luke Duska, it is always a pleasure. We'll have this out. We'll have this out. We'll have the podcast out a little bit quicker than last week, but it's only for the fans. You're just getting back to back. You're getting back to back. So we'll have this stuff out. Thank you guys for tuning along to the ACC Conference Preview. As you could tell, we love way too much ball. I've been in my
I love this conference.
In my Paycom class, like today, I was quizzing the guys on who are the top 3 in the odds market for the ACC, and nobody got it right. Not one person. Not one person.
They didn't know Miami?
No, they said Miami, but nobody got all 3.
Nobody got all 3.
Miami, Louisville, SMU. Yeah, I would be like,
people would not. I feel like the average, just casual college football viewer would not know Louisville and SMU are like they are at this current point.
No, nobody cares about the ACC except us. We care.
They should though.
I love the ACC. I love it. I mean, you never know you never know where people are going to be on, in the Charlotte, ACC championship game. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But unless the CUSA championship's happening closer to my house, then I'll have it. Exactly. Also, it's a shame that my boy won't be on the Asheville golf trip.
It's a crying shame.
Yeah.
There's always next year. Knock on wood.
Yeah, there is. All right. Duska, love you, buddy.
All right. Love you too, bro.
Peace.
Peace.